Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back. I'm James and you're watching Blue Dog Reptiles. Now, today we're talking about how to positively tell the gender of your Uromastyx. But before we get into that, I do want to address something. Now, we had a comment on one of our Uromastyx on this Uromastyx care guide. Now, with that, yes, this animal did look very lethargic. He had just come in. He was underweight, but that's what happens sometimes when we have animals come in, whether they're surrenders or they just come from a bad vendor and that vendor has since been nicked. But with that being said, all of our animals go through quarantine. Now, I know in that comment they said, oh, I'm a veteran Uromastyx keeper and all that. Well, look at the shape of this guy. You can go back and look at that other video and see, yeah, he was skinny and all that. Look at this plump belly now. Look at this plump tail. We know what we're doing when it comes to Uromastyx. Now, one of his comments was on calcium sand. These guys need some of that grittiness, and he just came out of the tank, so he's really warm. Calcium sand is perfectly fine. We don't do straight calcium. We actually blend it with either Reptile or Jungle Mix. Just to give the texture and that grittiness. It's not straight sand, and there are different types of sand. There's walnut sand, which is 4 millimeters thick. That can lead to impactions in a lot of your animals. Calcium sand is 1 millimeter thick, which leads to a lot less issues. Now, there's people that keep quoting that, oh, there's calcium sand's bad, but they won't tell me why. You send me, and you can drop me a comment with a link in this video. You send me a link with research documents proving that calcium sand is not beneficial to these guys. I am all ears. But if you're just quoting something that's from Google or something that's 10 years old, then I don't want to hear it. Because we do countless hours of research on these animals to make sure that they are living their best life, that they're in the best environment and best habitat. Now, with that being said, so this is a red Uromastyx that's all fired up right now. He's a lot better shape. Obviously, you can see he's a lot more active. He's put on good weight here. But today we're talking about how to positively gender your Uromastyx. And this goes for, one of the tricks will go for bearded dragons, leopard geckos, and most of your lizards. The other one goes just for Uromastyx. Now, if you notice, he has a deep red body here. A deep red belly. This immediately tells me, I can tell at a quick glance that this is a male. Your males are going to have your darker coloration on the bellies, whereas females are going to have a white underbelly. You can see we're still dealing with a little bit of shed issues on the top, but in the shape he was in, it's understandable, but he is in much, much better shape. Another thing that you can tell with a Uromastyx or a bearded dragon, we actually had someone ask us about our white striped geckos on how to tell their gender, and I'll cover that in just a second. But so underneath here, and viewer discretion because we're going to show his goods, but so on the insides of the legs, there are two little pins that sit right above his pelvis. Now, those are called hemipenes. That is how I can immediately identify this as a male. If this was a female, it would be very soft right here and you wouldn't feel anything. And typically their cloaca or their vent is a crescent moon. Now with gecko, and you can do the same thing with bearded dragons and leopard geckos. It's easier to tell in older ones. Sometimes with babies, their hips are so pronounced that you can't feel the hemipenes. But let's talk about the white striped gecko. Now, I kind of correlate them the same way. You can feel their hemipenes, but they're going to be less likely to let you do this with them. A lot of their male anatomy is more pronounced when they are older. Same thing with crested geckos. You can see them showing all their glory all over the side of your glass. whereas females you won't see that. Some people get a little tripped up when it comes to telling the gender of a juvenile, and that's rightfully so, because it gets a little bit trickier when you have juvenile reptiles. But back to these guys, as you can see, you know, and I want to reiterate on that, these guys do really well with calcium sand. They get that grittiness, they get that, it helps them shave down their claws. I see some people that will actually clip the nails of the claws. Now, I don't clip these. If you have the proper environment, proper substrate, you shouldn't have to clip their nails. Now, I'm not saying never clip their nails. If you see one that is growing weird and hooking over and causing issues, obviously consult your vet. But with these guys, I like to let them keep their claws, that way they can hold on, because especially bearded dragons, man, those things are all over the place. They're climbing, they're holding on. That's what gives them their grips. You don't want a bearded dragon or Uromastic climbing up somewhere high and then not being able to hold on. They'll actually sit their claws inside the wood or cork or what have you so that they don't fall. These guys also use, another reason for calcium sand is these guys like to dig. So in doing so, when they dig, they will actually disrupt the soil and sand mixture by using their nails. And so they'll dig down, which shaves down their nails, and then you'll see them burrow in. But yeah, these guys are really straightforward, easygoing Uromastics. I wanted to prove to that customer, yeah, he's getting all fired up here, or I wanted to prove to that person that placed the comment that we do know what we're talking about when we deal with our animals. But yeah, if you're looking to buy a Euro, you want a male or a female or what have you, you don't even have to open up the glass. Because let's say you go to a box store or my store, these guys like to window surf a lot, and so you can see the bellies really easy, and that's a quick indication of how to tell their gender. If you're not sure still, or let's say, like I said, if you have a bearded dragon, or maybe you have one with mixed colors and you're still not sure, you can always revert back to the hemipedes. You can tell a healthy Uromastic by their tail. So their tail, and he doesn't like me messing with his tail, but their tail should be nice and fat. So you see how thick that tail is? If this tail is sunken in, it means that they are extremely underweight, because the tail is just like, think of fat-tailed geckos or leopard geckos. They're going to restore all their fat in their tail. Very similar to Uromastics, they keep a lot of their fat in here. And if you have one that's sunken in, which how this guy was when he came in, they need help. But yeah, I hope this answered all your questions, guys, on how to properly tell the gender of your Uromastic or your bearded dragon or the white striped gecko. Stick around, we do have a special video next week, so make sure to stay tuned for that. Also, if there's any videos, I do want to say thank you to one of our subscribers. She recommended or asked if we could do some tarantula videos, and I have no problem doing that. So next week we are actually going to do a care guide on one of our arachnids, so stick around for that. But as always, guys, love your family, but love your reptiles more. We'll see you around.